that episode had Frankenstein's monster written all over it. That had Frankenstein's monster written all over it. But yeah, so yeah, I guess I was right then. Yeah, so Evelyn was actually consulted by Harry. I think that would make more sense. Harry wouldn't know how to deal with something like that right off the bat. Like, even with the background in law enforcement and even with his own moral code infused into Dexter, he likely wouldn't know how to deal with something like that right off the bat. And those tapes definitely help. Like, those tapes of him actually visiting Vogel and talking to her about what Dexter's like. Dexter saying that, Dexter pleading with him to visit a crime scene, like a homicide crime scene. And even him being there, him staring at it like it was artwork, and he wanted to be the artist behind the artwork. And he took his first blood slide, like a literal shard of glass with blood spattered all across it. Like, that was his first, that was his first blood slide. It wasn't even his. Like, he wasn't even responsible for it, but he wanted to be. He wanted to be. But yeah, no, like, it had definite Frankenstein's monster stuff. Like Vogel knowing what to do and telling Harry how to do it. Harry didn't know what to do with it. Harry didn't know how to deal with him. And I think, yeah, that there definitely is an air of, like, convenience around it. Like, he knew what he was dealing with was trouble. He knew what he was dealing with was bad. He knew what Dexter was doing was bad, so he didn't know how to deal with that. Vogel seemed to be the one person who actually could. Vogel was an expert when it came to serial killers and psychopaths and those kinds of people. So she was like, I'd say he still got lucky with her. Like, like anyone else would have, and she even addressed that. Like, any one of her colleagues would have immediately notified the authorities, and Dexter would have been institutionalized. But Vogel Vogel saw an opportunity here, and she took it. She saw an opportunity to, because she knew that, the way that Harry was, from what Harry was telling her about Dexter, she knew that Dexter had potential. He wasn't going out killing innocent people. He knew better than that. At least he knew better than that. He knew not to kill people who didn't deserve it. He knew not to kill those who didn't deserve it. He knew that there was still kind of a line that wasn't that wasn't meant to be crossed. He knew there was a line that wasn't meant to be crossed, and he made sure never to cross that line. So because of that, she knew that he could be fostered. His urges, his urges couldn't be stopped. She made that very clear. His urges could never be prevented. They couldn't be stopped, changed anyway. All you could do was provide a focus. So I think that kind of stuff reminds me of what Batman does for Robin. I'd say from more recent viewing experience, I'd say what Batman did for Dick Grayson, until Dick Grayson changed. But then I'd say, more like Jason Todd. Like Jason, he became Red Hood. He just became a killer anyway. But in terms of creating Batman, I'd say it was probably Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul, the head of the League of Assassins. Actually, I think I haven't read those comics, so I think, my kind of knowledge of that is just based on what other information I've heard. But, it's basically Bruce not wanting to kill, but wanting to learn how to fight better than his enemies. Bruce wanting to know how to be the best he can be, and Raz identifying and seeing his pain, like Bruce watched his parents die when he was like 9 years old, as a kid, as a child, basically. And he's been holding that pain close to his heart ever since, and that's changed him. I think, a character like Batman, I think it's fair to say that's changed him. So Raz saw that pain and, saw a way to focus that too. He provided Bruce with a focus for it, a focal point, a way to channel it. So Vogel helped Harry do the same for Dexter. She helped Harry do the same for Dexter. She saw that there was a pain behind his eyes. I think it's fair to say that, he did reveal what happened to him. He was in a shipping container for days. He watched his mother get slaughtered right in front of his eyes, and he was in her blood and in front of her body parts for days. So that changed him. So she knew what the core of his trauma was, what the core point of his trauma was, and how that changed him. So she gave Harry the means and the ways and the techniques to actually help channel that kind of darkness and help use it for a better purpose. So it's kind of like a mix between Frankenstein's monster and Batman. I'd say, he is a monster in the sense of being Frankenstein's monster, and Vogel is Frankenstein. She's the brains behind it. Ironically enough. Given what he does, Dexter does kind of become like a a less a less superhero-y Batman. He basically is like a much darker, more physical version of Batman. The one that crosses the line. Batman obviously has that code, never kill, but Dexter can't help but kill. He can't help but kill. So yeah, so to see that stuff was really cool. And yeah, Vogel, I think it's an interesting relationship. Now that we know the truth, it's a more interesting dynamic, I think, between Vogel and Dexter. Vogel is just, she's enamored. She's, just, like, I don't know what the word is. She's just like, just like fascinated by Dexter because he is her creation. Without Vogel, Harry would never have gone as far as he did. Harry would never have done what he did. He would have been lost without her expertise. So Vogel, her words, her techniques are what helped create Dexter, and she's not exactly much better with her other patients. Like she's even admitted, like, the techniques she uses are unorthodox and even considered illegal. So if people found out that she did this kind of stuff, then her career would be destroyed and she'd lose her license and all that other stuff. So yeah, and I think in this case, with the way the story's flowing now, especially with the new brain surgeon killer, I think it's kind of like a battle between the creations, like Dexter being the one good creation and whoever the other person is, them being like a much darker creation, one that actually turned to the dark side, the one that I think it could be a story where they did what she told them to do. They did they followed whatever kind of guidance that she gave them, but then they they either delved too much into the darkness, or they in some way they started to see the darkness that she gave them, and now they're fighting back. Like they don't want that darkness, but they're using what she taught them to punish her, to punish the creator. So yeah, it's just like a just pretty much just like a battle of the creations, but a battle of the two creations. So it's a fun kind of conflict to see. It's an interesting conflict to see. But yeah, I think I think starting off the episode from right off the bat with that, like showing us, okay, yeah, Harry did go and see her like she was a therapist. I mean, I don't know if she actually is a licensed therapist, or if she's just someone that you can go talk to or something. Because I think she's a researcher more than anything else. She's like a doctor of this kind of stuff. So whether or not she's actually like a therapist or a counselor in that regard, I don't know. But I think I think she might. I think she has mentioned she's had patients before. She's had patients before. So I think maybe somewhat more private, definitely somewhat more private. Treating especially special people, like she specializes in psychopathy and homicide and stuff like that. So she's not just any old therapist, but if someone meets the criteria or if someone has like a special kind of request like that, then she does definitely make exceptions. And in the case of Dexter, he was a very special exception. I think Dexter might have been special because he was so young when it happened, so that fascinated her even more. So yeah, that's interesting. It's definitely interesting. And now I think this is also a great way to start off the final season. I think this is a pretty good way to start off the final season. Actually, going straight back to the beginning, whilst bringing the past to the present. Like going straight back, like to finding out that Harry wasn't the only one responsible for Dexter's like dark passenger and his newfound kind of side career. But there was actually someone else, so someone who actually was intellectually capable of coming up with this kind of concept of the code, and him embracing his urges in the right way. And I think it's an interesting enough spin on it, because I think she did make it clear that, because she knew and she made it clear that the urges wouldn't just go away. So she knew in that sense that the only way to control the urges was to embrace them. If you keep pushing that kind of stuff away, then it becomes worse and worse and worse. So with Dexter, I think maybe that's what it could have been. Then maybe Dexter is the one person that she actually embraced it with, but then with this other killer, this brain surgeon killer, maybe it was a very, very different topic, and she told them to try and push it away for whatever reason, but then they pushed it away too much, and now they have no choice but to embrace it. I don't know, but it's definitely, yeah, it definitely follows that kind of dynamic, like the battle of the two kind of monsters that Frankenstein created. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I think with Dexter it's especially more fascinating too. Like him, I think it's all the more overwhelming for him. Like him finding out that that this other woman was also responsible for who he is now, who he's become, what he's become, and someone else that Harry actually tried to someone else that Harry actually sought out. to help with all this kind of with this entire dilemma. But she's also, but at first he's like, so then that means I'm not responsible for it. Vogel's responsible for it. But then, he's desperately trying. I think part of him desperately wants Debra back, and then another part of him is desperately wants to not be the thing responsible for pushing Debra away and turning her into this kind of thing in the first place. So he's kind of overwhelmed with a lot of different emotions towards Vogel. I feel like one side of him, I think all along, one side of him has been grateful in some sense that, he's been able to live a life where he hasn't been caught, but then that life has come with such great costs that an even larger part of him is wondering if it's really even worth it, or if it's really even worth kind of continuing like this, given how much he loses on the way, how much he's forced to push away, and how much he's forced to sacrifice. So yeah, I think I'd say that there's like a lot more conflicting feelings than just partially gratitude and partially hatred. Like a lot more conflicting feelings just kind of jammed into one head inside Dexter's head, and he's not sure how to approach it. So yeah, but that final shot of her embracing him like that too, just covering him like her saying her saying in the beginning like oh I kind of feel like your spiritual mother too, like like damn, like yeah, I mean you're definitely the creator, she's definitely the creator, but spiritual mother I think might be pushing it just a little bit, but I don't know, we'll see. I mean he didn't even push her away. He didn't even push her away. Then he actually just wrapped his arms around hers and embraced her like that. So I await it. I await the rest of the season. I await seeing what their relationship in this season is like, and how they get along, and how they work together to find out who's killing these people. So yeah, I guess we can wait and see. I guess we can just wait and see. And yeah, I figured as much that we wouldn't see the killer like that right off the bat. That was way too easy. The fact that we got a scene with someone killing the next victim alone was too easy. That was way too easy. Like it's going to be a good long while. I think before we see the actual killer, and I think it'll be something. It'll either be something a lot more sinister, or it'll be like a face that we recognize from the past in some sense. I think. I mean, I don't know if they're in the mood, or if they're in the like right mindset to bring callbacks from the past like that. But I think one thing's for sure. I think after watching that first scene, after watching the Sussman guy walk onto the screen and actually killing the other guy, after watching that scene, it became more obvious that okay, would it really be that easy right off the bat? Like, would they show us the killer just like that? Like, given how much they're being hyped up, would it really be worth actually showing him off just like that? Like, it has to be a decoy. It has to be a decoy. Like someone who's managed to go uncaught this far. Like, I don't even think they would tease the audience with it. I don't even think they would tease the audience with it, and then leave us to watch as the actual main characters actually piece together. I think given the way that I think this final season especially, I think that they'd want us to find out stuff alongside the rest of the characters, and actually it's only revealed to us when it's actually revealed to us. There's no hints, no teasing. I mean, we can speculate all we want, but the actual reveal will only happen when it happens. So yeah, but yeah. So it kind of reminds me of like stuff from Sherlock I've seen. Like, I think Moriarty used some decoys as well, like his victims. Like he spoke through his victims, and he used decoys for that and other stuff. So I think it's not an uncommon tactic in these kind of murder mysteries. It's not uncommon for murderers to actually use their victims as decoys, or to use other people as decoys and then kill them too. Because I think the guy Sussman killed was the actual victim, but then Sussman was a disposable accomplice. He was the one that was never really meant to survive. He was just using him for dirty work, and then he blew his brains out and then hung him on the hook out back. So yeah, Sussman was just the guy who was doing the dirty work and cutting out the brains. I mean, no, I mean Sussman killed the guy, but then the original killer, the actual real killer, still did the actual surgical work, but he just needed someone else's blood on the actual murder. So yeah, because the surgical stuff is all done post mortem, so he just needed someone else to actually do the murder. So then that begs the question of, did he do the other ones? Could he have had Sussman kill the first guy and the other one? So yeah, because the first guy was in the park, the second guy was in that skating rink place. Yeah, yeah, so I think it's only two victims so far. Then, yeah. So then there's still thinking, and Sussman wouldn't count as a third victim because his brain wasn't cut open. So yeah, so I mean, I think if they want to find him, if they want to find the original killer, they'd have to find some kind of link between the victims, right? Because I mean, so far the only link they found is what's been taken, which is the empathy portion of the brain. But then the actual link between the victims, like their histories and their lives, must be linked, right? Well, if they haven't found that yet, then maybe there really is no link to be found, and it's just a guy going crazy because of Vogel. But I guess we'll see. And Debra has changed for the worse. Debra has changed for the worse. She's taken a turn. She's taken a turn for the worse. She killed El Sapo. I didn't see that one coming. I thought it would have been Elway. I thought it would have been Elway. I thought he would have actually like known that Deb would run into some kind of trouble, and then he'd kind of keep tabs on her. Or he'd keep tabs on her, and then see El Sapo doing the same, and then he'd come back and steal the jewelry. I thought it would actually be Elway's blood, but no, it's Debra's. So I think that was confusing because he didn't lock her behind. He just pulled the door down. He didn't really padlock it or anything. He just tried to slow her down a bit. So then she had like a rush of adrenaline or whatever, and then she opened it back up and then chased him back outside, and then killed him. So but he had her gun, and then he tossed it in the glove compartment, and then he had his own gun. But then what gun would she have used? Because the windows were blown open by the actual gunshots. A couple of gunshots from the side, and then a few from the front too. So what other gun would she have had if he took hers? I don't know. Or maybe that was because then I think she reached in, and then that took some of her blood. She left some of her blood behind on the broken glass, and then she reached in, maybe for the jewelry. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, because then my main question then was, what gun would she have used if he took hers? I don't know, but either way, however it happened, whatever happened, she still killed him. She killed him, and she blacked out the entire time. She was just so full of hatred and adrenaline that she just blacked out, and then when she came to, she was standing over his dead body. So yeah, Debra is just changing. She's a changing woman. She's a changed woman. So killing LaGuerta and saving Dexter over her definitely changed her. And then she went down a darker path with spending time with Briggs. And then she watched as Dexter killed Briggs, and then that didn't help. So then she drove off after that, and El Sapo was still around, and El Sapo was a man of his money. He was a man of his money. He said, you're lucky. I only kill people that I'm paid to kill. So he spared her life, only to regret it later on. Then took the jewels and her gun and everything. So yeah, I think Debra, she's been destroyed. I think it's not just the fact that she's finding out about Dexter's secret and she's being forced to do all this stuff. Like the entirety of last season was her feeling beyond conflicted on what to do. But then she starts to think back. All the years across from season 1 to now, all the times that she's helped cover up for Dexter. Dexter has done something that's flown right past her head. All the things Dexter has done that she doesn't know about, that she has now deducted, and all the stuff that she has no choice but to hide. Like she can't tell anyone about this, but she part of her wants to, because she hates what Dexter's made her into, and what he's forcing her to hide. And now seeing Dexter for what he really is, it's changed her entire outlook on their relationship. It's changed their entire personal history, changed how she looks at him now, changed like what their relationship is like going forward. It changes a lot of things. So it's not really difficult to feel sympathy for her and actually feel something for her, but she's spiraling. She's letting that hatred and that kind of distance get to her. She's letting it corrupt her mind and her heart, and it's kind of sending her spiraling. And she's killing other people out of rage, and it's only gonna be enough time until she kills the wrong person, and then that changes her. But I don't know how things are gonna go from here, but it's not going well. It won't end well. And then Joey and Jamie had their first fight, and now he's gonna take the sergeant's exam. So yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. I mean, Joey and Jamie, it's it's a relationship, and they're gonna have fun, and he's gonna take the sergeant's exam. So good luck to him and all that. But yeah, I don't know what to really say about that. I mean, I don't think I'd really ever have much confidence in that relationship, given how much stuff went down the last time. But then the way they ended the last season, they seemed to end on friendly terms, and then we open up with this season with them literally getting cozy in the bedroom. So I guess they are comfortable enough with each other. But yeah, he was kind of using his anger towards Deb's situation out on her, like saying, "Oh, is it like a Cuban thing? Like everyone, like her telling him that that he's too focused on Deb." And then I mean, she called her his ex fiance when they were never really fiancés. She never accepted his proposal. Like she was an ex girlfriend, but never an ex fiance. So I mean, it's all technicalities. But still, him taking his anger out on them was uncalled for. But yeah, he's going to take the sergeant's exam, and then hopefully him and Jamie can patch things up, and stuff can go down well that way. But yeah, that's that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got from this one. It was a fun episode, a very, very fun episode, a very, very fun dynamic being explored between Dexter and Vogel, so hopefully we can see more of it down the line. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got. So that was Dexter, Season 8, Episode 2, titled Every Silver Lining. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next time on Dexter. Once again, the uncut reaction is going to be up on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. And yeah, that's it. So, I will see you guys next time.